So welcome everybody to a mini wisdom share workshop with myself, Roberta Robbins, and with the lovely Nancy Reed. We decided to co-collaborate and do a workshop here, like I said, a little mini one here in the community on your big three in astrology. And you will see us also next week to do another collaboration where we're going to talk about numerology and the flow of day numbers and what your day number is. So put that on your calendar. I can't remember what time it is. Nancy, do you have it?
9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern.
There you go. Next Wednesday, the 14th, apparently Valentine's Day. So we have been, both of us have been living in astrology for a long time. I have been for the last few years teaching a foundational soul astrology or intuitive soul astrology. Nancy has done the training with me. She's been walking and living and breathing astrology too. And she is also supporting me in the community for the next round, and she's already done this once, but for the next round of astrology, which is a new program with a new title. So I'm just going to say this. It's called the Sacred Rhythms program, and it's 12 weeks long. We are not only doing the foundational astrology program in it, but I have pulled out things that I usually teach in it. I've pulled them out so that they're very clean and clear. So we are doing medicine wheels. We are doing the Wheel of the Year teachings. We are, of course, having that moon wisdom. We're adding rituals and ceremonies and journeys to it. The sacred archetypes that move with these. And we're going to be talking about them in what I like to say wheels that lay upon each other, and they just add wisdom. So it's a 12-week journey. If anything inspires you, even with our little workshop today or other things that, my community, the Cosmic Earth Weavers, we talk a lot and we dabble in. If you want to ask us any questions, just feel free to give us a direct message, directly message us, and we will support you with that. So today, your big three. What do you know what I mean when I say that? I have no doubt that there is people in this community that are like, I know exactly what that is. And Roberta, I can tell you, just like that. 1, 2, 3. So if you know what your big three is and what the three are, put that in the comments. Want to see, doing a little test, checking out where you guys are with that. So I always think these are important starting points and nice and easy to find. Nancy, how do you feel about the big three?
I love it. I feel like it is such learning them, learning a little bit about them is such an invitation for yourself to put words to who you are in this world in a nice, simple, concise way. Like I found what I knew before and what I learned even deeper with the program with you and stuff was just, it really gave me this strong foundation of, yes, I resonate with it. That is who I am. This is who I show up as. This is how I am supported. This is how I am seen in the world. And being able to connect more deeply with that has been so beneficial in so many different ways of my life, and just even how I communicate and how I resonate with my own thoughts and ideas. And I just love that, three planets, three zodiac signs, three bits of wisdom, because there is so much, can just help to narrow it down. Because as you and I have talked about before, astrology has always been something that I've been passionate about, but it's also been one of those things that was always on my list because it felt so big and overwhelming. And this is just such a nice way to begin. It's like those first 3 steps on a pathway kind of thing as you're stepping into the journeys. So yeah, that's how I feel about them.
And so, we know you got your background blurred, but you got 2 kids yourself, a hubby, and do you find even adding this to just knowing their top threes, their big threes, which we're going to tell you guys what the heck it is here in a moment. How does that help you yourself with relating with them? And do you possibly like talk to your kids or your partner about their big threes?
Oh, absolutely. So I don't, I was just looking through some of our notes and stuff from the program before and was like, oh yes, like, look, this is when I made a spreadsheet of the family and like what we all are. I do it as gifts for other people in my family to help them with their relationships. What I have found is that it just really helps, especially with family and relationship, that moon aspect, like that, how you're being supported. And it's like, okay, yes, how does this person want to be supported? How can I show up more for them? My last night, me and my son were pulling cards before bed, and he pulled a line card in a deck that it wasn't related to Leo, but he was like, mommy, look, I pulled the Leo card because he's really understanding what that means for him. And, you know, as a 9-year-old boy, he's like, what does this mean? Kind of thing. And I'm like, well, what does it mean to you? And like, so we talk about these things a lot, and it just has really helped me to get a clearer picture of how I can support my kids better in raising them, how my husband and I can communicate better. And then, like I said, wedding gifts. I love to create things like relationship, you know, friendships. Like, it's just been so supportive. I don't need to know the whole chart. Just starting here, like I said before, is that like that base point. And really realizing something that just popped in is that sun rising. We're going to get into it more, but really how so many people know what their sun sign is. And there's elements of them that are like, but I don't fully relate to that. And the more I learned about the rising sign and how we're seen in the world, it really helps. I've noticed helps give people a better understanding of themselves besides just this, I'm a Capricorn, I'm a Scorpio, I'm a Pisces. It's giving those layers and that depth.
Mm-hmm. I love all that. And, you know, it's even, like you said, these three to support you, not only yourself, but so many other people, the people you work with, your friendships, you know, your clients, all the things. And they are, and we talk about this in the program, and we do a session on different reports and designs and things that you can create for people, for yourself, for your family, for gifts, as Nancy does, but also just if you want to get into this more as part of your business. And it is, I find astrology, it's one of my tools. It's not, I mean, people that know me, they know that obviously I talk astrology and I teach astrology. And it is one of the magical things in my toolbox, in my magical toolbox. And I pull it out when I need it. I mean, I work with it personally with myself in my life. But it's so nice to call up a few things, even when I'm doing one-on-one mentoring, coaching, or even I have a group that's, you know, I'm going to Ireland with, and on their registration form is, I want to know some of these things. I want to know your birth date. Why? I want to know that, you know, what are those three things of theirs? I want to know how they, we're not going to get into Mercury and Venus and Mars, some of the personal planets, but some, especially the Mercury, I want to understand how they receive and communicate. All of these things help. So here today, we are starting, like I said, with the big three. You've already heard Nancy say at least two of them there. She snuck that in. Did you notice? So the big three is your sun, your rising or ascendant, and your moon. Now, your sun, when I say to some people, what's your sun sign? They look at me like, I don't know. What do you mean? What? I'm like, well, what's your zodiac sign? They're like, oh, I'm a Pisces. I'm like, oh, well, that's your sun sign. So the zodiac sign that most of us know what we are, especially those in the Cosmic Earth Weavers community, you guys at least know that, right? I have no doubt. So that's your sun sign, meaning that's what the sun was in traveling through when you were born. That was the astrological zodiac season we were in. And so just an example, I'm a Capricorn, Nancy's a Leo, and she was talking about this, the lion, the Leo, and her sun there. So those are our sun signs. So when you get on this, whether it's a replay or you find this somewhere else, drop in what you are. So what is your sun sign? Now, is that me dinging on all those things?
I think so.
Okay, so I have a couple things up behind the scene to show you with a screen share. So I don't know if I can turn that off without turning my sound off at this moment. So sorry, guys, I don't normally have those up. So we have our sun sign, and then I always say rising or ascendant. What's your rising? And so mine is Cancer, which happens to be right straight across the zodiac wheel for me. So I see that as, there's that balance and that harmony and the back and forth. Nancy, your rising is Capricorn, which not quite across the wheel, but getting there, right? Like just one sign off. So we're going to talk about how do you find these things? How do you know? We're going to do that in a moment. And then the last one we're going to talk about is your moon sign. So your moon sign, we're going to talk about why it's important. What's the essence of all this? So the moon sign itself, why that's a beautiful one to know about yourself. It's your internal emotional world and how you navigate things. And so even knowing what that is, but even if you can find out what the element is with that one. So mine is Aries, which is a fire sign. It is the first zodiac sign of the wheel. So it's like the I am, the seeking, the searching, getting out there, understanding, right? Like want to explore it, but there's that fire. And I'm not going to go too deep, like I definitely will in my program about all the other things that means within there. And Nancy, I'm always forgetting your moon. What's your moon?
I'm an Aquarius.
Your Aquarius moon. So how would you describe a little bit like just what's the element? I mean, I know this, but I know you know it. What's the element?
um, Aquarius is an air element, and which many people think it's a water because of the water bearer. And I was one of those people for so long. I was like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. My husband's an Aquarius. I'm like, of course I love Aquarius water. Those of you who know me, part mermaid. Anyway, when I discovered that it was an air sign, it was like, oh, and it just really shifted just that little tweak of this makes more sense now kind of thing, right? And so with that, it's like this dreamy, imaginative, intuitive, nurturing, and sensitive energy, which like I'm like, yes, that is my heart. Right. And that was one of those elements that, yes, this is who I am. And this is also where I like support and I like to be held and I like to be nurtured, in that dreamy, imaginative state. Like, come to me and share your dreams with me, like, and I will support you in them, and I would love for you to do the same with me. And that's been really strong for me in this last few years.
So everybody has their own views and essence, and it's getting to learn what these zodiacs, what the planets, what the essence means to you and how it moves and filters through it. And so when teaching this, that's the angle I always want people to, is how do you embody what astrology and your chart and your signs, everything is for you? What's the language in there? And so Nancy's saying, she's Aquarius moon. It's an air sign, but I'm hearing a couple of words in there that I'm like, that's not how I feel my Aquarius. But for her, she's taken parts, if you get to know that sign, and in the air and in the emotions, there's these other aspects. And so you have a personal relationship that starts pulling in with it. And see, my Aquarius, well, my Mercury's over there. And so I'm very thinking already, the air, the thought, the way I'm processing, the dialogue within, how I'm receiving, how I'm talking to people. And Nancy's got, she's pulling in that it is the moon. The moon's got that emotional sense and state. And it's like, oh yeah. So we think about what it is. So what sun actually is, and we're going to talk about this, what the rising is, the essence, and then the moon, and then we drop in those signs. And then we can drop in the elements. So that's all. For those of you who are a little new, I'm going to say, let's focus, because those three things and what you put it under changes a little bit of the angles and the reflections of of it. So just like I hear Nancy with the Aquarius and her moon, I think Aquarius, my Mercury, and there's a different angle, right? Essence. So don't overthink anything. You're like, let whatever comes into you. If this is new language, it's all good. So let's start with like, what do you need to find these things out, right? What do you need to know to find your sun? I mean, everybody knows their sun sign, your main zodiac sign, your rising and your moon. What you need is, of course, when you were born, your date, your month, year, and all that. But also what really helps when you're doing up your natal or birth chart, you can call it either one, is the where you were born, so your town, your city, and the time of day. Now I know, because I navigate this with a lot of people, I don't really know. I don't know. And so there's always asking people, um, like your parents, if they're not with you or say you're adopted. I mean, there's different ways you can find it, but say even if it's your mom is like my mother doesn't know the exact time, but she will always say, I'm pretty sure it was like 5 p.m. because of a shift change that was happening at the hospital at the time, back in the day when they actually would keep you maybe a day or two or so, not just like you have had a baby, get out. There was, and back in the day when there was more what we had with shift work, you had a sense it was done at a certain time. So she's always like, it's 5. It was right around there. But the way I found out the clear is I did a journey and I actually was guiding a group to that. And I think I might even have that on my YouTube channel, that journey, because it was a free thing. Journey into your natal chart or something like that, guys. I'll try to find that and put that into the Cosmic Earth Weavers. And those of you that might be watching this on my YouTube channel, go have a look for it. I take you through a journey to find out certain pieces, and I take it back to your birth, your time of birth. And when I was doing that journey, I actually heard very clearly my time was 4:46 p.m. So almost 5 p.m. So try to get it around your time, even if it's you're like, I know it was, my mom always says it was in the afternoon, but not dinner, like, or it was around noontime, or it was in the morning, right before breakfast, like, or just after midnight. So if you don't know, try to go around and feel and listen into a time for that. And those usually for what we're doing right now, you'll get those big threes. Okay. So the time, your date, location, all those things, needing that. The website that I like to use is astro-seek.com, and there is astral.com website too. I like the astro-seek one. So I'm going to show you guys what this is. I'm pretty sure I have it up in the background, just so you can see really clearly. There is so many goodies on this website. But let's go over, let's see if I can do this. I've not done it while we've done a live.
I've just put it in the comments if anybody needs to find it as well.
Perfect.
And we've got Rosalie and Adrian and Julie here. So lovely to see you guys all, just while Roberta's doing that. And they're sharing their big threes with us,
Oh,
which
are
is
they
awesome.
perfect, guys? Thank you so much. Now, Nancy, do you see that?
I do, yes.
Okay, that means everybody else, hopefully, well, Nancy, of course you see it because you're a thing, but let me look down here. You see it on the thing coming up too? All right, perfect.
Yeah.
So this is, like I said, this is the astro-seek.com one. There are so many great things on this website. But if you go to the free horoscope one here, you can, then it'll come up the birth chart, and you're going to put in your details here. So for example, I'm going to throw in mine January 8th, 76. And my time, like I said, was 4:46. So it just gives me all of this to log in. If it's unknown, there is that little check mark. I would say go with, like, if you think you're at least, if you're around that midnight start of that day or around the noontime, even going with those times would help. And then I'm going to throw in Collingwood. And as soon as I start writing up Collingwood, there I see it right there because it will give the coordinates of what the sky. So your birth chart is a snapshot of the sky of your location where you were born at that time. It is the snapshot of your birth in the sky. So it stays stagnant in that. So like that doesn't change. But then other things change because the planet in the sky is always moving. And then we use it as a guidance tool, a navigation tool for many other things. So I'm going to say, calculate my birth chart there for me. And this is what it'll do. It'll bring you up your birth chart. And there's mine right there. Now, I'm going to just talk so it's easy reference for you. So I'm not teaching all day here for you. So we are looking for sun, which there's the sun. Nancy, can you see my cursor going around that symbol for the sun? Yeah?
Yes, I can. Yep.
Okay. So it's that round, the circle with the dot in the middle. And you also see over here on the side, guys, there's a little uh, key bar here. It says there's a symbol and it says it's a sun. Then we are also looking, of course, for the moon. You can see the moon symbol is going to be that little crescent. So for me, I'm looking around and there it is up here on my chart. Now, no, your chart's going to be different things. Like I happen to have the Aries right at the top of the north of my chart. Yours won't be like that. It'll have something else. Or, I mean, maybe you're similar like mine, but I'm looking right here. There's my moon. And then I also want my rising, which is also the sun, which is the ASC. And sometimes they just go AS. And where that is on this chart, because there's sometimes different charts, guys, zodiac chart, but right here, I can see my ASC, which is my rising. That's the rising. And so it tells me right there, and that's the line that's going out. So I know my rising was in Cancer. Now you're like, Roberta, I don't know all these symbols. I totally get it. It takes time. You just practice. But what's great of this, guys, this toolbar, there's your sun, there's your moon. It shows you what the symbols are. And if you scroll down, you'll see this AC. Like I said, it even just breaks it down to AC here. So you can see, and then I see my little symbols. And you can look those up or check those out. Of course, if you guys scroll down even more, which we're not going to go into, but your first house will be your sun at your rising, and it'll be the first thing it'll talk about. So it'll tell you, oh, like for me, like I said, Cancer, and I'll have a little stuff about it. And then it goes into a whole bunch of other things, but it'll get to your sun. There's my sun, a little description about it. And then there's my moon and a little description about it too. Now, I just kind of have a little look down. So if you have the time, whether you can do this right now or later and you don't know these things, that's how you're looking at it. That's where you're finding it. That's how it comes up. So sun, moon, and rising or ascending, that is what you're seeking. So let's go over to, let me see if I can pull this up. Nancy, let me know if this shifts to the next screen. Did it bring up another screen?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Just tells me I have to re-share it.
Okay.
Like go out and go in.
Yeah.
See the new screen? Yeah. Okay, so your sun sign. Nancy, in your own words, what's your sun sign like? Here's a little, this was literally from a description in a program in a PDF. Nancy knows this one. Well, how would you describe the sun sign, which is our main sign we know about?
I feel like that's like your I am, who you are in this world, how you present to yourself, who your essence is at your core.
Yeah. So mine being my Capricorn. So, and this is the thing, this is like such a personal in you feel, right? So my Capricorn, and remember we have the empowered and disempowered sides of signs, the light, the shadow, all that we're working with. But in my harmonic state of core of I am feeling that essence of Capricorn. And I know, I have that, the integrity, the learning, the knowledge, the wisdom that I am seeking, a leader, a mentor, a guide, like these essence. And there's a whole bunch of like straight shooter, no nonsense, certain things like this is here in me, helping me guide me forth. And there's a lot to it more than just that, but that's an essence. So Nancy, what would you say with your sun being Leo, your Leo sign? How do you sense and feel that as a guide, your core, but it's also guiding, right? Our sun signs are guiding us forth.
Absolutely. So for me, it's like I am kind, I'm generous, I'm cheerful, I'm encouraged to shine. That Leo energy really wants me to step into my power from a true, authentic place of joy. And I lead and I go for my dreams. I am like ready to take those steps forward.
And so with that, for you, it's a fire sign. It's ruled by the sun itself, right? So there's light and fire and an initiation and movement. For the Capricorn, it is grounded. It's the earth sign. It's the rooted is also one of the last earth signs, and it's up in the north with the crone, the winter solstice, and there's an essence that's running through it where Nancy has that sun and energy and summertime, right? Feel within it. So that's why I like to teach and talk about those elements within that. What Nancy may have to watch, that Leo. What would you have to watch, Nancy? I'm going to
Um,
let you answer that.
that well, stubbornness, pride, ego, like just really just keeping those in check, keeping an eye on them, and knowing that all of those things also have a place of power, but just watching how they come through, and that not letting it get too hot.
Uh-huh. Don't want to burn anybody or yourself with certain things, right? Like that essence.
Yeah.
Um, so like I said, we all have these signs, and that's why sometimes you meet someone, like you'll meet another Leo, and you're like, and a female, and you know Nancy, but then this other Leo female, you're like, what's going on there? I mean, we are more than our sun signs, okay? We are more than our sun signs. But when we see that, life, the rest of our zodiac signs, our life, our journey, all these things, but we also, some may be wielding and learning more within their sign still. So myself being Capricorn, and we hear a lot about Capricorn and Saturn, and lately, a lot of things have been leaving, moving from Capricorn, but Capricorn is that, you gotta watch that you're not, first of all, a workaholic. Go, 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 go. Like that's a big Capricorn. Like you gotta have the bounce. Uh, being a leader, being the boss, but not to be bossy. Have the healthiness of it. Too rigid, too strict, too set in a certain way of structures, Saturn, right? So you got to move with the essence of what the higher wisdom and knowledge and understanding of, say, my Capricorn, but each and every single one of us, what that is and how we want to be showing up in that for ourselves. So is there anything there in the chats there, Nancy, that I know Julie, she's been doing a course with somebody for a month or so there now, and Adrian, hello. And Adrian's in the intuitive numerology book that I don't know if any of you guys know about that, but there is a group of us ladies co-collaborating, writing an intuitive numerology book, and Adrian is one of them. And Sharon, I see you guys there. Do you see anything, any questions or anything there,
Nope,
Nancy?
you're all caught up. All caught up.
Okay. And Helen, hi, Helen. And hi to anybody else I missed. I know Rosalie was here too. Sandy, Sandy's done astrology with me too. Yeah. Love that you guys are here. So sun sign, us, the sun, the core, the essence, right? So moving into our rising, I like to go the rising next personally. So I'm going to stop that screen share, come and pull up the, Nancy, you want to talk about the rising? And I'm just going to pull up a descriptive.
Yeah, absolutely. So the rising really, it's like how the world sees us, how we are reflected back through other people's their lenses almost. So it's like um your outward so where your sun sign is more inward, like who you are at your core, the rising is like your outward persona. Yeah. And so for me, I'm a Capricorn. And so even just like the difference in how my rising is to Roberta's sun, right? So for me, it's like, okay, I'm grounded, I'm independent, I'm responsible and wise. Like I feel like these are ways that the world sees me, and they are very much a part of who I am. And for me, this sign was really like, oh, yes, this makes a lot of sense. Um, there's a lot of elements of Leo that for sure, like people 100% are going to say Nancy Reed is a kind, generous, cheerful person for sure. But there's parts of it that I'm like, oh, I don't necessarily feel like people see that in me because they're seeing more of what I'm presenting as that Capricorn.
Yeah. And I find with my rising being Cancer, and with it being right across the wheel too, there's that balance and harmony. So, Capricorn is Saturn. He feels very masculine, even though it's a feminine sign, but he's father time, karma kind of essence in there. Um, and so it feels like that fathering kind of energy and that. But then my rising being Cancer, which is 6 months out from that across the wheel, it's mothering, it's the mother, it's the nurturing, it is ruled by the moon. So what people will see, and as Nancy, I'm going to echo this, is this one really, I find the rising, understanding this one really gives you a aha, because we sometimes feel like shouldn't people see our essence of that? But yet what they're seeing a lot, and they will see your sun, they will feel your sun essence, especially as they get to know you more. But this essence energy that comes out from you and what they're feeling, people around you, is this rising. And so mine, no doubt, people feel Roberta is caring and compassionate. And, first of all, she loves her moon and is intuitive and, home and create that sacred hominess and space. Like that's what they feel. And yet, and I am a leader. I am I'm very grounded. I'm very so there's like blending those within ourselves and allowing that this is what people feel. It's not something that's outside of you because it is you. I think sometimes this rising, sometimes we then throw it over to other people and their perceptions. Well, they're feeling it, but it's feeling it because it is it is part of you. It's an essence and a frequency. I find the rising that the essence that's kind of like this beautiful natural bubble and frequency of you that people touch and feel. And then you with your words and how you take action and live, they start feeling your sun coming through, right? How's that sound to you, Nancy, and everybody else?
Absolutely. And what I was also going to say was like, that's also helped me when we mentioned before, like meeting two people that are a Leo, for example, and seeing and feeling how different they can feel. For me, this has really helped me, especially in the world of Geminis. I have a lot of Geminis in my world, right? And they are so different. And I'm like, well, right there in the, but looking at their rising sign has really helped me to be like, oh yes, I understand this so much better now, right?
Yeah, this is where we start making our elixir of
Yeah.
ourselves. We start getting a little bit more, right? We're making that beautiful soup, the elixir, the cocktail, whatever you want to call it. But we start adding something in and it helps us. And then it also helps us when we're looking at other people and understanding how people are receiving us and interpreting certain things about us. So I see Adrienne, Leo rising. Did you put in there somewhere what your sun sign was? I don't know if you did. Oh, Gemini. You're Gemini sun, Cancer moon, Leo rising. Okay. Oh, those Geminis. Okay. So that could be a story and a talk, right, Nancy? Geminis? As you said, you got a lot of
Absolutely.
Geminis. I got a lot of Geminis in my life too. Okay. I'm going to stop this share so we can go to the other one, which then is our moon. And let me pull that one up. Screen share. Moon, moon, moon. Can you see that one, the moon?
Sure can.
Okay. So the moon, that, I don't know, I think we maybe started talking about this a little bit, but it is that emotional essence and energy within us and how we're thinking, how we're not thinking, but thinking in the emotional sense, like how our thoughts then come in and create our emotional world and how they move through us, how we navigate, right? I also feel like this is like part of the heart essence of us, of the emotional heart essence. And so understanding our moon helps us understand how we navigate that internal emotional heart-centered place within in us, right? And like I said, knowing your sign, knowing the element definitely I think the element really says a lot within this. And then also when you know, is it feminine? What's its mode? These are, things in astrology. When you get a little bit more, it just gives you a little bit more and more and more, and even the place. So my moon, Aries, I know Aries, we talked a little bit about this. My moon is Aries. It's the very first sign of the wheel. And it's fire. It's the birthing in, initiation, want to know self, right? It's that I've just birthed into this world and I want to get out there and understand myself, understand this world. And the fire has that essence and energy. And then I know that Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars wants to take action. It's masculine and wants to go, those kind of things. All these little pieces give me something about how I'm going to navigate that emotional energy. And most likely things can feel very fiery, and that a way for me to go in is for me to understand that self-reflection, to learn, to journey through it, right? That seeking to understand self through my emotion, to experience myself, because this is the internal world of myself with my emotions, not what's being thrown out and how I'm going to do that. Other people are going to help me. Though I heard Nancy say, she said, this is also how I like to be nurtured or care for, is what you said, Nancy, I believe.
Yeah.
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 And it's funny when you said that, I was like, is that how I want to be nurtured and cared for within the fiery essence? And I think there is probably something like, these are great questions. That's why it's great doing courses and having chats and being together, because then it gives us something else to think about. I'm like, yeah, there's that initiation of fire, and I want someone to be able to meet me with that energy to move through things, instead of maybe something so watery or too much logic, air sign, right? Or just too practical and grounded. I don't want practical, grounded, earthy in my fiery freaking emotional world, right? I want someone that can kind of have that essence and energy and punk to it, right? So Nancy, you.
Um, so a couple of things that came up while we were talking about it, because I did talk quite a bit about my moon earlier because it just kind of rolled out. But being that moon in Aquarius, and as you started talking about the planet that was ruling it, I was like, oh right, like your Uranus and Saturn, and it was like, oh, how do I feel about that in terms of my emotions? And I was like, oh yes, like I feel very responsible for my emotions and what I feel and how I feel them. And um there was something in that that just kind of came. It was like, oh yes, like I really do feel that. Like they, even though they're deep and stuff, and this, that, and the other, it's like I almost guard. So like, like I don't want to dump all my stuff on somebody else. Like I'm going to work on this and process it on my own, and then be willing to share and invite in that support at that point. And that was just something that felt different than what I've expressed before. So I thought, oh, I'll share that because there's always new learnings, right? And like you said, the conversations we have bring out more depth every time.
It does. Like little, like how many times, I mean, you have gone through since I started teaching the
Yeah,
astrology, which was a few years ago, and having conversations and different things.
yeah,
Even you and I talking, I'm like, huh, yeah. And so it's great. And I think astrology is one of those things, right? Like that's why I like to call it, it's intuitive soul astrology. It is, you're intuitiving it, it's within your soul and who you are and your design and makeup. And it's a journey. It's a lifelong journey of people that are my teachers and that I follow. I hear them say that I love it. They keep on I hear them growing, expanding with it. And so we're always moving forward with it. Now, I just want to, Julie, I'm reading the sun is Gemini. Do you mean like your sun? Sun, and not the sun, like in the sky. So, because I read the sun is Gemini and rising, I'm like, you, I know you're Aquarius sun. Your birthday's coming up in, I think on the 10th of this month, just in a few days. Um, so your sun is Gemini sun and rising. Your daughter's Gemini rising. Hola. Yeah, I have a lot of family members. They're the Geminis too. So I feel you. And I've done some business stuff with Gemini women. I wouldn't say it always works well. Uh and I say this, I'm sorry. Anybody that's a Gemini here and you're like, what, Roberta? Bobo, I might want to play with you. I can play well. I have lots of lovely girlfriends that are Geminis too. But here's the thing is, what is someone working at? And me being a Capricorn and being able to see through and be known, not just like if you see something, that someone's starting to work in a lower part of that, in any sign, doesn't matter if it's Gemini, guys, it could be Capricorn itself. But being wise of where someone is and getting to know a little bit of that high and lows, the empowered and disempowered energy helps you understand them where they are on their journey too, right? And also it's always good to check in with yourself. Where the freak are you with your part of your the highs and lows, the light and the dark, the empowered, disempowered, right? We got to do our own work and check in with those and realign. Your daughter is Virgo though, Sun Virgo. Yeah, yeah. So nice and grounded and organized. Creative, as I have one of her lovely creative wood carving plates that I got there in November, December, whenever that was at your house, Julie. So sun, moon, rising. Hopefully you can now I know what those are, those big threes. So I'm going to stop this screen share. Nancy, do you have anything to add before I go to a little homework kind of thing with them?
no, all good.
Okay, I'm going
Just
to.
if you go to AstroSeek and you're still lost, please comment, reach out to Roberta or myself. We totally want to help you figure this out. So don't hesitate to ask.
Nancy, if you Google also robertarobbins.com underneath the events, or even just put in robertarobbins.com/event, just event, not the S on that. You guys can go find out about that sacred rhythms program and what's in it. And I also did a post yesterday on my Facebook group of the different aspects if you guys are wanting to look at that. That Nancy and I are starting literally in 2 weeks, right, Nancy? I mean, it's coming up so quickly. So quickly. Time is just flying. Okay, one little fun thing that I always get the students to do, and let me see if I can screen share and find this screen share. Okay, so we're on that AstroSeek, and let's go over here. Well, look at that. That's us. Oh, that's not where I want to be, though. It didn't keep it. Mhm. Can you guys see what I'm searching? Can you actually
Yes.
see the screen? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was hold it, but obviously when I linked up, it took me out of that. And I know it's not too far in this group. There it is. There, Nancy, did you know I was going to call this up?
It. Yes.
Yeah, she did. This is a fun. This is like on the first class, right? When we start into the astrology part. So I will post this in the Cosmic Earth Weavers group. But for now, as we wrap up, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask away there, like I said, or reach out to us. But if you have a few minutes, let's do this fun little statement. So you can see it says, driven by my needs. And then it says, has a line underneath it says moon, right? And then it says, I use my underline rising to become a underline sun. So what does this mean? You're going to write out, driven by my need. And for me, my moon is Aries. I go over to this chart over here, and Aries right at the top for me. And I move over and it says to act. So driven by my need to act, I use my, and then I go to my rising, which is Cancer, and it says compassion underneath the rising part. And then to become and then I go to my Capricorn down here and I go over to the sun, magnet of success. So what mine would say is driven by my need to act, I use my compassion to become a magnet for success. I hope I got that right because I literally just did that from my brain. But did that make sense how you would do this? And Nancy, did that seem clear? And everybody else? Did that seem clear? So use this. I want you guys to put this in. I want you to do the whole, the whole driven by my need with the essence of your moon. I use my essence of your rising to become a essence of your sun. That's listen there. So Nancy, what is yours?
Mine is driven by my need to innovate. I use my diligence to become a source of inspiration to myself and others.
And how does that feel?
That feels fantastic. It's like, I was laughing because I'm like, where's my answer in this original post? And I'm like, it's not there. It's strange. But it probably is in the all comments. But I was like, oh, I feel like I remember writing this before.
Mhm.
And then I was like, oh, but even reading it again, it was just that boom feel, like that you almost catch your breath a little bit of feeling the trueness to it.
Yeah. Why you don't see in this one is because this was the last time. And
Right.
this was like your fourth round. So you were assisting in it. But if I went to the first group, yeah, and the second group, you would have had we would have seen yours. We just see Susie's over there.
Susie's.
Who's in our group too, just so you guys know. She did do that. And some people just sent it and messaged it and put it in different places or did this and made a nice little statement for themselves. So I like this. And I find it gives you, like, even when I think driven by my need to act, like I need to do something, to move forward, right? That's Aries of Mars energy in there. And I use my compassion and like how it softens in there, my compassion, right? That Cancer rising, my compassion to become a magnet for success. Capricorn, success, leader, driven, work, mountain goat, right? Achieve, I achieve, right? That essence. So I'm going to see what you guys got here. Sharon's got, I am driven by my need to dream. I use my psychic gifts to become a source of self-love. And so it is. And so it is. Nancy, you put yours in there. I love that. Julie, driven by my need to explore. Are you a Sagittarius moon? That word explore says Sagittarius to me. Driven by my need to explore, I use my handwork. Your hand, what are you creating? I use my hard work to become a source of lasting social change. Yep, and there's your Aquarius right at the end. And hard work says to me it's Capricorn. Am I right, Julie? Did I get all those right by looking at those words? Something around there. What else is hard work? Any of the earth signs. It could be Taurus, Virgo. Where I'm just looking at my chart. Virgo. Virgo. Those earth signs, hard workers, grounded material of this world, right? Of that creation. Sag moon, Virgo rising. Yeah, yeah. Got this. Love this, guys. Danielle, you're here. Hello. Did you do astrology with me? I feel like you did astrology with me, like at the beginning, possibly. I know you've done some work with me. I know it's been a little while. This is a great refresher because if you were in astrology with me, this first, what we talked about today would have been a beautiful refresher. All right, guys. So, like I said, I will have this. I will give you this copy. I'll even do those couple of those slides from a PDF. I'll add that into the group for you. And I really hope, I'm just going to stop share this. I really hope that you have gotten something from this, even these beautiful big threes. Um, and then, the next things are those personal planets, the Mercury, the Venus, the Mars, even like those three personal planets, looking at them next, because that Mercury is our communication, that Venus is the way, relationships and love, and that Mars is that action oriented, so masculine to feminine energies with those Venus and Mars. So if you guys have any questions, like we've said, reach out. Thank you for joining us in the Cosmic Earth Weavers live today. Love this, love playing in this. And next week, just a reminder, join Nancy and I at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think I got that right. For we're going to look at numerology and day numbers. So we're going to help you figure out what your day number is, help you figure out what's on the calendar so you can start writing it down, because obviously Nancy and I talk about these, especially in the forecast that we do every month. I'm going to help you understand what this is about, what it is for you personally, and how to navigate those energies and the biorhythms of that. Right, Nancy? That's exciting. Yeah. It's a great tool. Thank you once again for joining us here. And if you haven't gotten the reading that Nancy did on Monday, it's there pinned to the featured on our page to go check that out too. So thanks, everybody. Thank you, Nancy, for playing here in the Cosmic Earth Weavers for us today.